Good afternoon, everyone from Vienna. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Making It in Austria. I'm your host, Adela, and today I have a great pleasure to welcome Michael Bridi to our YouTube channel. Welcome, Michael.
Hello, thank you for the invitation. Highly appreciated by being invited.
Thank you so much for being here. I think we were brought together by Corona, no? Or it was
I
before?
think it was Corona. It was
Corona,
during Corona and a lot of networking meetings, but
yeah.
that's what you are. So I'm appreciated that you invited me for this conversation.
Thank you so much for joining. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Michael, and to learn from you. So you have so many important tips and learnings that you can share with the wider audience, and that was one of the reasons that I invited you, so that the world can hear you.
Thank you
So
so much.
what you do and what with your team. So um, it's really refreshing, to meet people like yourself. And so let's deep dive in. Let's start with your introduction, Michael. So what would you like to share with our community?
So I'm first of all again, thank you very much for having me. I think I'm the only Austrian you're having in your community because the title is Making It in Austrian. I'm the only Austrian, even though when someone asks me, I always deny that. Because my roots are very widespread. From fatherly side, I have Italian roots. From motherly side, I have my Slavic background. And very early on, I realized I don't really fit in. And when I look back at the history, which is, say, now easy, I realized sooner or later that my Austrian friends became very few and my international friends became more and more. So I don't really feel connected. And I realized very much when I left first time Austria when I was a kid. And the worst moment was for me when I came back and I landed in Vienna. I said, I did something wrong. Why did I have to come back here? Now I don't feel that bad anymore about that because I'm flying a lot in and out. But yeah, a short introduction to myself. I'm 40 years old. I have two kids. That I adore and love so much. I'm happily married, uh, and also an intercultural relationship. My wife is original Azeri, so I have that every day at home. What people look into. I'm working in healthcare. I'm in a very multicultural environment, and my job title currently is regional manager for CIS and Near East, which says I'm responsible for the former CIS countries and the countries like Turkey and the Near Eastern region. So that's
Mm,
what I do and what keeps me busy.
yeah. So you mentioned that you're in healthcare, right? And so what is that you do on a daily basis? So what keeps you busy?
That's what I keep asking myself a lot of times. Uh, this I started in healthcare maybe a bit further out. I started as an entrepreneur during university times. I came back to Austria. I started consulting, and then I was drawn into the world of healthcare, where I started a bit in IT. I did some certifications with some of the major ERP suppliers, and then I went into developing healthcare projects, and now I'm in charge of developing and realizing healthcare infrastructure projects. So my
Mhm.
company is building healthcare facilities from the smallest kind of health post in rural Africa, where I've been for a couple of years, to scientific 700, 800,000 bed healthcare facilities with university clinics and the most modern technology available. And what I'm doing is different things. On the one hand, I'm in a leading classical line management position. I have teams based in different countries. I have different offices that
Mhm.
I'm trying to coordinate. And then I'm also running projects myself from a program management and project management perspective, where we try to build new healthcare facilities.
Mm. So how do you see, Michael, the healthcare of the future or healthcare post-COVID? Let's start from
But
there.
post-COVID, it will change a bit because there's a high focus now, and that what we have seen around the world, that people are more and more inclined to be reluctant to go to healthcare facilities straight away. They
Mhm.
want to have telemedical applications, they want to have teleconsultations, they want to have teleprescriptions, all the things we loved learning right now.
Mhm.
You're sick, you call your doctor, he gives you a sick leave online. You call a teleconsultation when you need something. You get a teleprescription and can renew that online right now without going there.
Mhm.
Uh, and then when I shift the seat on the table and I say, what does it mean from the other side? And what does it mean from the governmental side?
Mhm.
They have to
Yeah.
pay for healthcare. Healthcare is becoming more and more expensive. We all want, and that's like supply and use demand. We all want our CTs and MRIs for everything we're going for. And this is something that's not sustainable. So we have to find solutions there. We see more and more digitalization.
Mhm.
throughout facilities, between facilities. So I'm already establishing network facilities, linking the continuum of care together. So those are the big topics we will see. And
Mhm.
we also see a diminishing of our current healthcare situations because our healthcare insurance companies will not be able to afford that in the future. So I'm very unhappy about this, but that's what I see. I'm in the lucky position of being in touch with the healthcare decision makers in a lot of countries. So I've been ministers of health,
Mhm.
ministry of finance in various countries, and I was negotiating and discussing with them where they are taking their countries.
Mhm.
And I've seen a lot of cool things we didn't even imagine in Austria yet. We are years behind. And at the end of the day, I'm still happy to live in Austria sometimes because healthcare quality is so good and we have free access to it. And that's something we start appreciating when you really travel sometimes and you see things.
Mm.
And also, when you ask me what I do in healthcare, I started out in Africa. I did 3 years of Africa. I did GCC countries. Now I'm doing this part of the world. In between, I did a short sidestep to South Pacific Oceania. So I've seen a bit of healthcare, what's going on around the world, and it's for me the most fascinating industry currently.
That's true. I think years back, no one could imagine that you could, phone your doctor and he gives you a sick leave on that way. No way. I remember during the MBA days, and you did as well an MBA at the very executive academy. We had all these kind of assignments and projects and ideas of the future. One of them is also a healthcare, and then no one wanted to step into those kind of, even brainstorming, because it was always like it's so governmental, so it's so there's so many procedures that you have to follow. There's so much in the background that you just don't want to touch. No one wanted to touch it. Everybody had some cool ideas, and I as well, working in the IoT industry, we had also kind of cool projects that we wanted to realize with few companies, but it was such a long discussions that you go for years and years hoping that there will be something at the end.
But this is really something COVID ignited, as you said
Yeah.
right now. Yeah, some years ago we had these ideas. I already 10 years ago came up with the idea, why can't you get the medical records of a patient on an iPad so the doctor and the
Mhm.
patient can sit at bedside, look through it. We had the first
Yeah.
pilot project, but it was never widely received. It was like, don't even talk about it.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, from one day another, we all remember March 2019,
Mm.
our whole life and our whole world changed.
Yeah.
And suddenly those things were possible, and they're possible now. And I don't think anyone wants to go back to a place where you say, no, you have to come in when you want to have
Yeah.
a prescription. You have to go and queue with all the other people just to
Yeah.
get a consultation for 5 minutes. Can't you schedule it online? And for me, the first landmarking idea was when I had my first kid and we went the first time to pediatrician. It was a
Yeah.
public pediatrician. I got an appointment at 9 o'clock. I thought I'll go before the office and then I'll bring him home and it will be all fine. Yeah, there were a queue of 30 people. They all had an appointment for 9 o'clock. And the guys,
Oh.
that's not possible. It's a small kid. First of all, he's not going to wait around. Second, I'm not going to wait around. But back then, that was the only solution. Nowadays, don't think anyone wants that anyone will accept it anymore. So really keep my fingers crossed that this one will have an impact on that.
As a newly parent, this brings memories, before, we got the kid now, and then all of our friends said, no, don't go to that guy because he's good, but you have to queue
Yeah.
for hours there, or you're gonna get sick because there's so many people waiting already there, and then someone is always sick, and then you pick a lot of,
You pick up everything there. Yeah.
yes. So
So
like,
peer
don't go
group
there, don't
is
go there, don't. It's good to know. It's good to know. And then maybe we can, go to networking as well, establishing, because now we started talking about people
yes.
exchanging the information and getting to know all these insights that you cannot, I don't have all the time of this world, to Google everything, so where's the best doctor and where's the best school and universities and so on and so forth. So I know that so we met through the network, we met through the MBA, which is a great network.
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. For me, it was when I was thinking about it, okay, what to do, it was how to, build my network here in Austria. The MBA was, a kind of natural way, because there's like over so many amazing people like yourself that you can meet, and then you can do so many cool things. So how do you approach Michael networking? So, you have your
Well, first of all, I meet people
private.
that are so amazing and they take me along and take me to a journey that I never imagined. It, as I mentioned before, like for me, when I think back, is that the school friends I had, they were all very close and narrow-minded Austrians at the end of the day. I mean, it's not negative to see. Austrians are very special breed. To get in touch with them is difficult. To know them on a superficial level, it's easier, put it like that. But go to an Austrian network event, if you're not inside, you will have a very rough evening that's not fun for you. What I did, I changed my approach to that. When I started traveling, working in different countries, I was used to get in touch with a lot of people. And this M.B.A for me was a step further in a logical pathway when I look back now and say, I need more network in my medical field. So I started looking for a network idea, and I knew the M.B.A would give me from a professional level, because I have an economics background, I have a behavioral psychology background, wouldn't give me that much right now, but I knew I would meet the people I need to start my network further. And this one I started building up. And also through my professional life, I realized that only the thing in a network can help you. Adela mentioned you can't read all books on being a parent, you don't know all the doctors. And the same thing is in the professional field. You simply don't have the time anymore. And we know content is pushed out. There are the statistics, how much content is produced every minute. You cannot catch up. But what I realized is if you have a network, you can exchange ideas, you can go forward, and you can really be inspired. It will change the way you see things. And this one drives you every single day. And then you can give these ideas further, because what I realized is for me, network is not only getting things, but way more important to give things. Because I see people who come up and say, I want to do this. And I say, well, have you thought about this? And then you start talking and say, maybe my idea didn't help you right now, but it starts you thinking and refining your ideas that will help you in another step further. Then months later, this person comes back and says, well, actually, I thought about this back then. It really helped me there. So what can I do for you? And then I say, well, actually nothing. You already did something for me because you got me thinking again. It was fun the way to go. What Adela mentioned at the beginning, and this is something I really am into right now these days, and that really kickstarted me, is seeing how this networking works outside. For your personal network is good, but how do you do it in a corporation? I work in a corporation that has now 27,000 employees approximately. In Austria, we're working in 100 different countries on all 5 continents. And I realized that even within companies, to achieve what you want to do, is you have to have this very strong network for yourself and to make this professional network. And then the second component of my daily life kicked in is that I'm, first of all, a line manager and I'm a project manager. And I realized in a matrix organization, this is 100% networking every single day, because otherwise I can't get things done. And I realized early on, micromanagement doesn't do it for me. I can't, and I had to let go very fast, because I realized I'm in an environment where my specialists are people with 20 years experience and more in the things they do. They're architects, they're biomedical engineers, they are functional planners who know the ins and outs, what happens in the hospital, way better than I think I can ever do and achieve. Maybe I could sit down and do it, but then I will waste a lot of time. So I realized I need to network to get these people. And I realized that I have to put people first, always, even though now I have a big P&L responsibility and I have budgets in hundreds of millions of euros to do my job. Infrastructure projects are simply big, so you have to put it aside at some point, because otherwise you get crazy. And that's when I started putting people first. And this had the most remarkable effect for me. Every day, and that's the second thing, is the daily things you do make people work with you, make people think and go with you. Because I realized my job is only to describe the vision I have, and then pick up people where they are, and I'm standing next to them and standing in front of them and help them, and or stand behind of them where they need me. And one of the most rewarding things was during a business trip, my colleagues came to me afterwards, and they were seasoned colleagues, 40 years in the company or freshly joined, and they told me, look, you created the frame for us where we could do our best every single day. And that's what we want to thank you for, because the whole week was tough, but still we made it. And then I did my job right. And it was not me, it was you guys. For me, I just created this small frame and I did my daily small things that made it possible for you. So this is one of the big things I'm trying to do every day.
Thank you for sharing. And I hope that now our listeners and our viewers can understand why I have invited you. So why are you part of this community? Because every time, and we talk very, very often, and every time I get so much from you and I learn from you. And I remember we did one of these first Clubhouse session on The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. And it was one of the, as well from Making It in Austria, Valentina. Olanescu, she was also here. She was in that clubhouse. She has her own business always for the last couple of years. And what she said really stuck with me, because she said, if I would go back to the corporate life, I would like to work with you. So the way you talked with people, the way you work, the way you inspire, motivate others. She was like,
I'll
okay.
blush, because that was really, really a humbling moment from someone who really has this background in being entrepreneurial and
Yeah,
completely self-independent. But if I ever think about going back, I want to work for you because I like what
yeah,
you do. It was really like,
yes,
wow, that
yes.
was really moving. Thank you so much at this point. If she listens ever to this podcast at this place, thank you very much again.
I hope you will meet soon at one of our face-to-face gatherings. I saw her this weekend. So, uh, being with you guys in this community gives me so much back. It's not a work
But
for
it's
me, it's
for
just a
you being
pleasure.
there that makes a lot of those, like it's otherwise it wouldn't be so good. But
Yeah.
something you mentioned right now, this community coming back to this. I think also this is something that drives from this COVID situation right now. And this I want to come back to is making it an Austrian topic. Is what I realized now over the last 2 years is this feeling of closeness, this being close to other people. This has been turning out so crucial for the last
Mm,
few months. We have seen at the beginning this big solidarization with people working in healthcare, because that's what I
mm,
hear every day. But we have seen that diminished. And I know in my company it was really a big problem because our senior management vanished some points. They were sitting in meetings every day, but the information that came out of there was very vague. And suddenly people started speaking up and saying, well, I don't know anything. Can I talk to you? I say, sure, let's talk. I mean, my calendar is full, but I will take out the time for you
mm,
because apparently you need something, and then I'm there. And I realized that from young people to very senior people said like, my boss doesn't talk to me. I don't understand what our management is doing. We're really lost. And this time has shown that my job there was, and that's what I picked up and changed me a lot, is I have to include them. I have to say, look, I don't know much more that I can tell you, but I can tell you this, and let's sit down and think how it works for you, and let's see if we can get some more people who feel the same, and let's
mm,
put them in groups together and inspire each other to see how we can continue. Because there are some ideas, there are some guidelines, some principles. We still know what we're doing. We still have our vision that we
yeah,
believe in, making health better. That
yeah,
that sticks. It's a good vision. I think it's very clear,
yeah,
and let's work on this all together and see how where we can each fit in to make this happen right now. And we had a lot of criticism. We were heavily discussing all the time, saying, but we can't travel, which we used to do. I used to fly 3 times a week to different places to meet my people, to meet clients. Now they all do online things, and it works marvelous. But you
yeah,
have to get people in.
yeah,
And this is something, again, these network ideas that I was so happy to have before, because it gave me the strength to say, how can I do it? And one thing I mentioned back then when we had the clubhouse, and I still do it, and I have regular team meetings, and I was not a big fan of them, honestly speaking, because I thought like having a structured meeting every week, this Monday morning, Friday afternoon, no one wants to be there. And I said, no, I'm not doing it. But what I will do, I'll make a Tuesday 9 o'clock meeting every day for one project, and I send the meeting out every week. I'm not doing a serious and reoccurring meeting. I send it out every week to get
yeah.
people to buy in. And every week, since 33 weeks, I think now, I have 40 people showing up every month,
Wow.
every Tuesday morning, happy that they can be there. And the meeting is 16 minutes now. And I get the information of the whole status of the project. I get my input, I get the political input, I get everything together. Everyone leaves feeling that they're included.
Done.
Everyone knows what we're doing. And one question I learned through our discussions that I started asking is, guys, what did we do last week? What we can do better this week?
Mm,
And this really changed a lot in this whole team building, team creation process. And last week I had the happiest moment, because you mentioned we can do it now. I invited my team the first time for dinner, like a small group, my
yeah,
leadership team. But this was such a big event for them, and it was such a rewarding event that I said I have to do it more often again, because I really missed that. Like in
yeah,
a networking event where I had young people who were the first time since the joint, because they joined during COVID times. We gave them a laptop and said, that will be your office, but you can't come right now. And these are colleagues, and you'd see them all in Zoom or Skype, but that's it.
yeah.
And now they have sat in a company setting and senior seasoned people there, and it was really good mixture. So
Since you
that's what I'm
mentioned,
driving.
yeah, since you mentioned this Mondays meeting and Fridays, it brought me back to like couple of 5 years ago in our company. That was set this Friday mornings and no, Monday mornings and Friday afternoons were kind of punishment. So they weren't
Yes.
like, yeah, they weren't said like that. It was a lesson from our CEO for the sales people, and they all hated it because Monday morning for a salesperson and Friday after 3 o'clock here in Austria, where you usually finish around after lunch or like around 2 o'clock ish. So it was a punishment. It wasn't an inspiration. It lasted couple of weeks, and then it was like, okay, it doesn't make any sense. No one is getting anything out of it. Just
But that's where I'm a bit different, but I always neglect this, and my family hates me for it. I love Monday mornings. I adore them. I do that since years. For me, the best day is Monday morning because I think everyone is grumpy, everyone is sleeping,
yeah.
everyone is just picking up where they left on the weekend, and I can rush forward and achieve so many things already at this time of the day that by Monday lunchtime I've done the real things you don't want to deal with. I have dealt with, and I can stream ahead with the other things that I'm looking forward to for this week. So that's why I'm a bit different there. And Friday afternoons, I also do my rounds, and I just try to finish off to send people off to the weekend, because something I realized as well, Friday at 6 o'clock, no one has to sit in the office unless
Yeah.
there's a deadline. Deadline is a different
Yeah,
topic. We all have deadlines. We deliver
definitely.
the deadlines. That's fine. But before that, please, at 6 o'clock on a Friday, you don't have to sit in the office. I
Mm.
mean, it's nice sometimes. I understand the wish to
Yeah.
escape from home, but usually when I try to go through the building and see, like, if my team, someone is there, I'll try to send them home if it's possible.
That's a good message. Go home and do
Yeah,
something
because
with
at
your,
some point you
yeah.
have to stop. Yeah, I know there's still one more email to send out and one
Yes.
more thing to be done, but
Yes.
honestly speaking, yeah, if it's not the deadline at Monday 7 a.m., which I enforce sometimes as well, I know, but otherwise, please don't do it, because it will not change your life and it will have a negative effect on the life of your surroundings. So don't
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. One of my good friends, and so actually family, more of family, he said that back in the days that he wants his team to be fresh on Monday morning. So he doesn't like them to, stay longer on Friday, or he kind of forbids them working on weekends. Like that doesn't make any sense because you're going to be, super exhausted on Monday, and then you will not be fresh throughout the week. You will not think clearly, and some things will just, slip your way, or you're not going to be there, to make the right decision. So like this
Of course.
being on all the time and working all the time and just sending emails after emails, it doesn't work anymore. It's shown in numerous ways, and researchers and so on and so forth. So some balance would be nice.
I have to see that a bit different because I worked a long time in the GCC
Yeah.
countries. Of course, there the first working day of the week is Sunday, so you adjust a bit when you work there. And
Yeah.
Sunday is the Monday there, and
Yeah.
Monday is the normal Tuesday. So you refine your ideas about Sundays then, and then people expect you to work on Fridays, which is their Saturdays. So it's
Yeah.
a bit of conflict between different offices. But yeah, I perfectly agree. Monday morning you should be fresh, rested,
Yeah.
and can go forward.
Yeah.
Uh, you asked me as a preparation of this, like, how can you make it? The topic is making it in Austria, and then
Mm.
you had so
Yes.
many amazing careers being told, so many ways. I mean, your own, I still admire every single day when I think about what you did and how you got here and how you managed with opportunities that arose because you were ready and you took them at this time. And I want to give you a bit of an insight into an Austrian mind, because I'm I'm sometimes feel I have some Austrian mind there. I try to avoid it, but there is some. And something I've seen a lot of people get very frustrated out is this, what I mentioned in the beginning, this mentality issue.
Mm.
Austrians are usually very close confined in their security space. You have to think of Austria still. We are almost now, it's 9 million people now, 2 million live in Vienna. That's the biggest urban area.
Mm.
But the rest still live in a rural setting. And that's where most of the people are raised. So when they come to Vienna, they immediately find the peer groups that they always find
Yeah.
amazing, uh, who are from this region. I don't know how they do it, but you will find someone from every village, and if there's one, then you will find 10 others, and they interlink. They don't have to like each other, but they will find these groups, and it's really hard for you as a not being an Austrian to get inside those.
Yeah.
And there is where a lot of decisions are being made, where a lot
Mm.
of political networks are being made. Yeah. When you think about doctors, they have a very traditional network hierarchy structure and they
Mm.
like to interlink, but this has broken apart. I've seen that change substantially over the last 6 to 8 years, and we'll see this have an impact in the future on healthcare, because these doctor networks are breaking apart, which is a good thing, I think, because it was very, very strong. Making it in Austria, you have to find a way to get in touch with these people on this level. You are not grown up in the same village, okay, but who cares about that
Yeah.
nowadays? We are all in the 21st century. We spend our weekends traveling. We do, which is not always the most sustainable thing, I have to agree, but we do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. And you have to try to make it in Austria to get into these levels of people and these network ideas of these people, because these are not networks you will find on LinkedIn or any
Yeah.
online platform. These are the grown networks. And if you look at our political system right now, these ties go all the way there. So if you know which villages this majority of the people come from, trust me, if you better move there if you want to achieve something, because otherwise it will be really hard for you. It's this inside-outside world. Adela is laughing a lot, but that's my experience. I really can say I really have a topic there, and I'm not in some of those, and I don't mind that because I didn't want to be there. But this is a really decision you have to make it in Austria in some companies, especially those with traditional backgrounds.
Mm, absolutely. I
Because
agree. So I'm.
otherwise you really have a problem. Because there are a lot of international, multinational companies we have,
Mhm.
but if you have a company that's originally deeply rooted in
Yeah.
Austria, don't think of that, you will have a problem.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And regarding networking itself, so it's always super important to know which doors you need to knock. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to start your own business, and you're, for instance, you're a mom, so then you should go to those places where there are entrepreneurial moms, right? Who have had
Yeah.
career now, they start their own business. You can of course go to all other events that there's so many events and so many conferences that you can be part of it, or networks. But it's super important, as you said yourself. So you need to know where you want to go, and based on that, so to
Who
recognize
do you
the,
need to meet
yeah,
to make that
because
happen?
you can meet so many people every day. So nowadays even more, because the opportunities are endless. So I can
Yeah.
talk to people from all around the world anytime I want. But it's, yeah, as you said, it's super important to know which doors you should knock, because otherwise you can lose years realizing, okay, that's not the point. And I remember many things now that you talk, and this is how we usually talk. I remember when I came here to Austria and I had my first interview. Yeah, with first interview with my actually second interview with my mentor and the CEO of the Tele2 Austria back then. And on his way out, so he brought me to the door and said, okay, so how is it in Austria for you now? Because they knew I just moved, and I said, and how did you find the apartment? Because that's a big thing. How do you find an apartment? And I said.
Military is the most important GDP you will ever have in Austria. That's the way it is.
And I said, yeah, but I know I met the lady on a bus ride to Vienna, and her family is running agency for apartments. So yep, that's how it happened. And she's also from Bosnia, and her family is well here, and she found an apartment for us. So she kept an apartment for us, and what he said was like, yeah, those Balkan communities, you're getting stronger and stronger in the ties. So like it's easy for you, kind of, you know where to go. And it goes back to what you said.
Exactly, this is it. Yeah. And then if you want to find the people, you have to find the people with the right fit that fits to your community.
Yeah.
And also what I realized now when I hire people, like we look for that, because my company is,
Yeah.
as I said, crazy about traveling, and we go to not the most some destinations that might be called exotic. I stopped referring to this term because I don't know what exotic anymore is. And this is also something you mentioned with the bus story, and this is really something that reminded me of one of my stories. I was starting the company, first trip ever to a country, to a continent where I've never been before. 5 o'clock at the gate, the airplane. My boss calls me, who was supposed to fly with me and introduce me. He calls me at 5 a.m. I'm not going. I can't leave the country. I have a visa issue, and I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm grumpy because I'm awake since 4 a.m. I can't do anything. And I'm standing at the door of the plane. It's like, you want me to fly? Or you decide. We'll find something for you to do if you don't want. Okay. So then he hung up. So I'm standing there 5 o'clock. Okay, I'll get on the plane. So what's the worst thing that can happen to me? I have to fly back. Okay, big deal. Maybe there's a flight today, maybe only tomorrow. So what can happen? And I had 8 hours to figure out what I will do next, because that's how long the flight was.
Yeah.
And it was a good flight. One of 42 that followed afterwards to this destination within the next couple of years. And it was the best experience I ever had, because I dared to jump in, and that made me a lot where I am right now, to go forward and just dare to do it. And this is something I ask new hirees: are you ready to do this?
Yeah.
How would you go for this? And this is getting on a bus and talking to a stranger and saying, I will do this completely new thing. And like, what's the worst thing that can happen? You can take a bus back. Okay. I remember you told me your story. You said you give yourself a deadline.
Yeah.
That works. If not, then you do something else. It worked out because you knew you would never take this bus back anyway. Yeah, I'm
There's
sure
another
about that.
story. There's another story where you said you take what needs to be done. And I remember I accepted my first. I went into international waters. Like I had a year and a half here in Austrian market, and I realized it's too small for me. It's just too small. I want to do something more. I want to be able to speak many
Understand that.
languages a day, and I accepted the role. In the IoT, so it was a completely new. Everybody was like, "You don't do it. It's like unsecure. What is going to happen?" and so on and so forth. So I took it, and my first meeting, so first customer meeting with my colleague who was coming by car from Munich, to that meeting. It was 9 o'clock in the morning meeting in Rupprechthofen. There's a super cool company over there.
Okay.
And super good people. So they work there in IoT, machine to machine for over 10 years. Austrian company, really, really, they have projects around the world. And I had to be there at 9 o'clock. I don't have a car. I didn't have a company car. I don't drive. And I was like, how am I going to get to Ruppershofen? I have no clue where is that. So I just Googled, I went in the Googled and I found, okay, there's like a train from Vienna, and there's a bus. There's kind of bus that drives there. So I take a bus and come there earlier because, with the buses, you cannot really, they don't go whenever you want. So I come there, it's a super small village. And I said, okay, I have a half an hour in between, so good. I'll go to the local, place to have a coffee or tea. I ordered a tea. So I went there and sat there. So it's kind of a place where you go in, super old, where people have beer at 8:30. I come there all dressed up, high heels, dress. And they're like, okay, and I sit there and I say, I'll have a tea. And they say, like, what? I think we might have something in the bag, so we will
Some box
find
of cold black tea.
we will get you something. So I had that tea and I went to the meeting, and they asked me, how did you get from Vienna? And I said I came by train and by bus, and they stared at me. You know, two guys, they're super cool guys, Martin and Peter. They stared at me and they're like, "What's wrong?" I don't know what's wrong. They said, "No one ever managed to that trip. No one wants to take that trip. People don't do that. It's not possible." But I said I had to be here at 9 o'clock for a meeting. So you take what is, it's train and a bus. It's not that far away. It's like 1.5 hours in the same country. So
But this reminds me of a story I had that it's why I find always fascinating talking to you, because I had an internship in the UK long time ago. So I was going to a place where I've never been to, and I look at the yellow pages where the address is, and I come there and say, no, you don't have to come here. You have to go to the head office. I say, okay, where's the head office? Well, you keep walking there. And I know it was late. I didn't know the public bus network there. It was a disaster. It was half privatized. So UK back then was a mess. And I went to a gas station and I found a police car. So I walked up to the police guys and I guess I need to go there and I have no clue how far is that. It's that 5-minute walking because I don't want to be late. And he looked at me and said, what are you doing? Well, this internship there, and I'm very excited and I want to make a good impression. And I say, oh, you know what? We'll take you there. We're just done with coffee and then jump in, we'll take you. So they take me up the hill, and I get off the police car, with these locked doors. And that's the first impression my new boss got from me, that I'm being delivered to the office in a police car.
I hope you got
Yeah,
that.
you have to do what you have to do to get there, don't be shy, because it's something I always found important. That you can't be
Yeah.
shy in the corner because then you don't achieve anything. If you sit there, that doesn't help you. Yeah.
Sometimes you jump on it and I say, I need to be there at 9 o'clock. So I need to be there. So I will figure it out along the way. So you don't
Yeah.
know all the details, but somehow you find there. And then you have the stories to tell, if it's everything
That's
like
it.
from
You
A to
always have
B,
something.
direct line. So then what stories are you going to tell
The
to people?
stories make up what you do, and then it forms your leadership. And it's the last topic I wanted to raise because
Yeah.
it's making it Austria. And for me, leadership is like it's a lifelong learning process. I realized you will never be there. You have a vision, you want to achieve it, you will never reach it, but you try. And what I learned, my best teachers right now at the moment are my kids. And one story I will share with you that really inspired me recently. We bought plums and they were red outside, and my kids expected them to be beautiful red inside. The first one turned out to be, and it was all happiness. The second one turned out to be yellow. And my kids were devastated. It was late, they were cranky, they were sleepy, but they
Yeah.
wanted to have that. So I said, okay, I have a vision moment now. You know what I will do? I will color them for you. And I took a raspberry and I started coloring this plum for him. And he looked at me and like, wow, that's yummy. So I managed to do something for them. And then my second kid came, like, Daddy, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Like, well, I thought it might be fun to do it and it might work. And let's try where we're getting with that. And
Yeah.
it worked. It was amazing. Negative thing, I now have to do it a lot of times again, but I still enjoy it because it's something I can do together with my kids that's unique for them and made a good impression for them. And the next day I had a meeting and my colleagues were really sad that there was too much going on, too much pressure, which happens occasionally.
Yeah.
And I told them the story and say, see guys, you decide if you can make someone happy at this moment, or you can sit, well, sorry, it's yellow, you have to deal with that. Or you can say, well, I step up and think of something different. And with little efforts and the small things matter, can change in a big way. And since then, my office was really entertained. My whole team was delighted by this idea. And yeah, I don't know if I got a nickname for that, but I'm waiting for that to come around to some other corners. But I think this is something that defined me a lot again, and I can push this forward to make positive impact on other people.
I think you will get a lot of raspberries for your
I'm afraid so. For my next birthday, I will get a bag
birthday,
full of
for your
raspberries.
I don't know anniversaries or whatever it is. It's going to be raspberries.
Most likely yellow plums and raspberries. But I'm fine with that. I will
That will
do
be
it
your
for my team as well.
2021. You're gonna suffer for the. You take that one for the team.
I do. If it
Thank you.
helps, then I will make it happen. Always. Because
Thank you, Michael. Thank you
I
so much.
thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
We're not done yet. So before we
Good.
wrap up, I always ask my guests about what they're reading, books that they could recommend to our listeners. So let's hear it from
Well, I got a lot of team tips from you, and I still have a long reading list that I make up at the end of the year, and I still hope to get some done, and I will
you.
always be not enough. I finished Atomic Habits today, which
Yeah.
really inspired me, and I started today with the book. That's why I found funny that you raised this topic. Not how, but who. This is a very, very interesting book. Again, like you need to know whom you need and whom you can help before the how. The how will happen then.
Yeah.
Um, and then I bought another one that I haven't opened yet. I know Amazon is very happy because I'm one of these people who buy books and then I hope at some point I will get them to read. I have to check what else did I buy which really inspired me. Yeah, Think Again. That's Adam Grant's book, and that's what I'm already excited. I'm going to read next.
I haven't
So
read that one. I read two from
you
Give
see,
and
I still
Take
have something that I can inspire
the
you with. But I thought I
and
have
the
to find
originals.
something you haven't read. But
Cool.
yes, so and this is also some stupid way of myself because I usually read 5 books at the same time because I have books I can read in the morning, I have books I can read after office because then I try but I can't anymore. And then in between when I spend some time on planes, I read some other books and I try to get through them. I'm a quite fast reader,
Yeah.
so I try to get a lot of things done. But COVID kept me from that because when you're in home office, then you don't read. That
Yeah.
really felt that, but I try now. I just planned that I got sent the tickets right now. I have some trips coming up now where I spend a lot of time on planes, so I'm excited to follow up on my reading finally again.
One of the, I think I interviewed Emir. Yeah, when I interviewed him for Making It in Austria, he said that since he's traveling to Simmering every day, he's in the construction industry. So he's now listening to the books. He said, he has a kid and 2 kids and family and so on and so forth.
Can't
So
do
he
it
said,
now.
listening, just, in the car while I'm driving, that's the way I can pick it up. And I recently moved to, digital. I love paper, and I have books all over the place. And my husband is now like, we have to stop, otherwise we'll be covered by it.
That's what I did years ago because of my traveling. Because if I carry books around, as I said, I read a lot, I would
Yeah.
have a pile of books in my suitcase, and the airline will not allow me to get on the plane with this suitcase full of books anymore. So I long time ago converted to a digital world. I had my
Yes.
Kindle. Now I said, okay, I can cancel the Kindle. I have one device because I hate carrying stuff around.
Yeah.
So I read everything online.
It's
But
cool.
yeah, and I'm also commuting every day to your office by public transport.
Yeah.
Because I know I leave my negative global footprint by flying out all the time and traveling all the time. So it's at least for my daily work life. And there's some more reasons, but I think it will not be able to capture that right now. But I use 40 minutes in the morning to do my emails and to read books.
Yeah.
And on the way home, the same, because it gives me so much time to think of things that
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, and I use Kindle for, I ordered this like chapter, free chapter, and then I see if this book is for me. Is it talking to me, or as well, I'm creating kind of list of books that I want to read that I don't want to forget. So I download all this, and then I can go later on back to
Yep.
see,
Yep.
does it make sense?
That was actually something I still had on my list that I want to follow up on. And you, hopefully holidays come and you have more time to do it. But you have the biggest engagement, and I want to congratulate you on that one again. Your new
Thank you.
project that is even bigger than your small other projects that you anyway keep you busy all the time, and maybe some job that you keep you busy as well. But this
Yeah.
project is the most important one. And I really
Yes.
want to say that it's
Yes.
amazing how you approach it, and it's your way to do it, and it's amazing. And it's inspired me again, even though I have two kids, I learned some things from you there.
Thank you, me. Yeah, Esma is a great kid, and she's very curious. So she likes
Most
to go
important
out.
thing.
Yeah, she likes to go out. So she keeps me, outside in the nature, walking. So that's also good. What I learned for mental health in the recent discussion. So it's always out there, and I can, nowadays we live in this digital world. I can pick all the things while walking, while in the
Yep.
nature. So I don't have to sit in front of my computer
No,
to
these
call
times
you,
are over.
send you
Mhm.
emails, and so on. So that really helps, and I'm just basically embracing things that are working well for us, to kind of,
I
it's
did
important.
use that also,
Yeah,
like these times also
yeah.
showed me I have to take care more of my health because you mentioned that. So I got myself a new
You're in the
nutrition
healthcare.
consultant. I'm in healthcare, so I have to take more care of myself as well, not on but everyone else. So I had a new nutrition consultant, and this whole time I used now to change my diet habits. I
Wow.
changed my food habits. I lost 13 kilos by now, so I'm
Wow.
going there. Now I have to buy new suits,
Congratulations.
but right now it's still home office situation, so no one notices. So but yeah, this is something I said, like this is also something that, and this is something I want to say as a last statement is
Yeah.
this: in everything I try, it's a holistic approach.
Yeah.
It's not never enough to look for one piece and change that. As in, I mean, atomic habits, yes,
Yeah.
small habits change everything,
Yeah.
but you have to have the whole scope in mind when you do something, because
Mm.
that's how you go for things. I'm not looking for this and have it done and say now I
Yeah.
changed it, but
Yeah.
you have to have the continuum. We say continuum of care when you talk about healthcare, but you have a holistic view on things, and that's what I try every time to look through. And I try to bring my team to the same things. And at home, I also try to get my kid a holistic view on things.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Michael, for sharing. Thank you for being our guest today, for sharing your, inspiration, leadership, books, know-how,
And laughs,
and
most
loves.
important. We decide that we're happy every day, and I always have so much fun talking to you. Thank you so much for having me. As an Austrian, I say making it in Austria is not easy, but it's worth trying, and
Yeah,
it's doable.
it's
You see so
possible.
many examples.
Exactly. So it's possible. And as you said, we have to have fun along the way. And it's possible because of people like yourself. So one of the messages that I always like to share is surround yourself with, great people. So it's really, really, really
Deal's
super
over.
important.
If you're the fifth people in line and they're all happy and successful, most likely you will be the fifth person who
Yeah.
will be that. If you have a group of people around you who will always tear you down,
Yeah.
most likely you will have the same fate. I mean, you can change people, can affect people, but
Yeah.
it's not good to be always in a negative surrounding them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So choose your battles, like
Definitely. In
wisely,
life,
your
every day, in
tables.
marriage, in life, in work, that's good advice. It helps.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you
listening,
so much.
and for joining us, for listening to Michael and myself conversation. So please let us know if you know someone who made it in Austria. Send me a message on LinkedIn. Join our LinkedIn group. Yeah, I would love to hear from you. And that was from our side for today. So more interviews coming along your way. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye
Thank
bye.
you, Michael.